Hello everyone, and today we're just gonna have a little fun. I think it's very clear what I'm doing here. I'm not judging these characters off of how good of characters they are. This is purely on the quality of dadship. Now, so that means there are characters who are not that great characters, but pretty good dads, and characters that are pretty good dads, but maybe not that great of a character. Only thing to note, this obviously isn't every father to have ever birthed a child ever in Fire Emblem. That would be way too many. So I kind of just decided to grab a grab bag from all over. And the other thing is, I'm not counting any of the Fates baby dimension fathers because they're really not the same vein as actual fathers who raise their kids in normal sense. And plus, I feel like sticking your child in a baby dimension is just an automatic F. But there they are. So, no real other way to go. Have a happy Father's Day. And let's just get started right out of the gate with Dice. Dice, he's an immediate bad one. He's an alcoholic, pisses away all of his family's money by gambling. Malice always has to clean up his slack. I'm gonna put him in E. He's probably an F tier dad, but there's just... Given the quality of some fathers in this series, I do not feel right putting Dice at the absolute bottom. But he's not good. He is definitely not good. So, sorry Malice, you deserve better. Oh yeah, speaking of terrible fathers, I did a whole video on Jeddah. He is one of my favorite characters in the series. But yeah, he is kind of trying to forcibly convert his one daughter to his cult. Granted, he doesn't realize he's doing something wrong, but it's a whole long fucking escapade about overzealous religion and shit. He is trying to convert his daughter to the death cult, so doesn't exactly earn you the highest of grades. Though I will remark, Jeddah did say that his other two daughters went willingly. One could also make the note that Jeddah made his daughters think a death cult was a good idea, but... details. Sigurd! He wasn't alive very long. However, he's the dad that came back as a spooky ghost to make sure his son knew he was proud of him. And I don't see any other father on this list coming back from the dead to talk about how good of his son's doing. So, I think Sigurd's got a pretty good stranglehold on that one. Hannibal, the first of two adopted fathers in this series. Hannibal, I've always liked him. He's my favorite Gen 2 character. He stated, like, he and Corpri are stated to be very close. He loves his son. His son was used as a hostage, which might be a strike against you that you let your son get kidnapped, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of a breather there. And he's just a loving, caring axe dad. I think axe dad. He's not axe, he's a lance. Yeah. So Hannibal gets high marks. A good father to a child that's not even his own. Quan. I'm gonna give him B. He obviously loved his children. It's not quite, because he died before he could really raise Leaf or, Altena. And he didn't come back from the dead to make up for that. So Sigurd's got you beat on that one, Quan. But it is stated that he loved his kids. There are some images in the Fire Emblem Thracia 776 and the manga adaptation of Fire Emblem 4. Quan is a good dad. He just didn't get to be alive long enough to be anything better than good. Arvis has been directly stated by Julia to be a very good father. However, I don't think he even really does anything with Sias, on the account of Sias was born of an affair. So I'm gonna put him, I don't know, B. Because Julia did state that he was a kind, caring father. He just also helped give birth to the Antichrist, which, you know, these things happen sometimes. You know? We can't all be perfect. So, Arvis is better than decent. but not exactly stand out, mainly due to Sias. Like, come on, dude. You had Deidre. What the fuck did you need anyone else for? Now, I put Lewin here because this isn't fucking Lewin. This is Forseti. And this is something that bothers me. Because everyone says Lewin is a terrible father. Lewin is fucking dead. He is not alive throughout the entire second generation. He was killed by Manfroy, and his dead body was possessed by the god Forseti. Lewin is not a dad that has any quantifiable time. He's dead. I merely put him here to vent about this because people give Lewin a bad rap. Trust me, Lewin's done a lot of things wrong. Stop giving him shit for parenting. Alright, Finn. I don't think you can get much better than Finn. One could argue he's more a father figure than an outright father to Leaf, but he is a father to Nana, father to Leaf, and the shit this man goes through is just unreal. Starving himself, constantly being on the run. He is truly someone who cares about Leaf and Nana. They are his kids, and he is the best dad, period. There are some people on this list that are good dads to their actual kids. Best dad, period. No question, it is Finn. Hicks. I merely put Hicks here, or Hick. Is it Hick or Hicks? Hicks? Hicks. Hicks is here because his entire reason for fighting is you saved his son. And he obviously loves little Murphy. And it's stated that after the war was over, he just went back to being a family man. He listened to good old Guile. So, I'm putting Hicks here. We don't know enough about him because he's a fucking Thracia 776 character. But I know that he does love his son enough to fight for a kingdom in a battle that is not in his favor. But due to the lack of knowledge, I'm putting Hicks at decent. Dagdar, though, we don't see... I'm going to put him at A. Ex-bandit turned renegade fighter. He's such a good dad that Tanya's description in Heroes is Dagdar's son, I believe. Or am I thinking of Ross? I might be thinking of Ross. Or both of them. Either way, big, strong, kind axe dad. I might put him at B. We don't necessarily see him parent enough, but we know that he loves his daughter dearly and would fight to the death to protect her and his entire nation. Good on you, Dagdar. Diane. He's a really good grandfather, but he kind of abandoned his son and forced Wrath to go out on his own just because of some spooky stars telling him so. So, I don't know where to put Diane. I think good grandfather and shitty father are going to meet somewhere in the middle. You could say, oh, I know the Sakean tribes are spiritual, so if the stars tell them to do something, they'll do it. I don't think you can justify sending how old was Wrath? 3? When he was sent ousted from his clan? I don't think that's fair. You could have done something there, Diane. But he seems to have learned, and in his old age, he's a very good grandfather to Sue and a very good fatherly figure to both Rutger and Shin. So, Diane, I like you, but need a little help on the parenting. Douglas. He is joining the tier of adopted dads because Lalum may not be his daughter, but he does love Lalum all the same. Their support together is very cute. And he will never attack Lalum. It actually can be like a funny wall strategy if you have Lalum. Douglas kind of just guns in a straight line. So if you put Lalum down in a one-space corridor, Douglas will never move. So you can spare him very easily. The chapter's dumb though. Why the hell? Ugh. But Douglas is a kind axe dad with a daughter who loves him. Speaking of a kind axe dad with a daughter who loves him, Bartray. Bartray is such a good father that when the moment he tried to entertain to Fur the thought that he might not be a good father, Fur told him, no, you are a great father. Your warmth comforted me. Bartray is when I think of good dads in Fire Emblem, even though Finn is the best ever, Bartray's the first one I think of. I always think of Bartray. He is the token, kind, loving axe dad. So, good on you, Bartray. I love you. Stop ruining people's green hero pools. Zealot. Zealot's an interesting one. Because his child is a little over a year old and he has never met them. But that's because he's out looking for work to make sure that they don't die of starvation. So, this is a tricky position. I'm sure there are some people out there that can relate to Zealot's struggle of wanting to be there for his kids, but you gotta make money, gotta feed them. Goddamn bastards can't work for themselves. So, Zealot, I'm gonna put him in C. He probably deserves a little higher, but the whole just not being there physically for your child's birth and beyond is kind of a hard hurdle to pass, even if your reasons are a little understandable. So, Hector. We don't know enough about Hector as a dad to really say if he was the best father figure, but we know Lelina cares about him. We know that, like, his loss is devastating to her, so it's clear he was a big factor in her life. So I think it's safe to say he was pretty good. Plus, though Heroes is far from the best thing to take canon from, the duo unit between him and her does show a rather lighthearted, cheerful side to Hector and his daughter that I do really like, and I think can push him to be above average, even if we don't know for sure what kind of dad Hector was. Nurgle. Nurgle cared about Ninian and Nils, and then he went mad with dark magic, which is he tried to kill him to open a dragon gate. So maybe he's probably not the best anymore. We'll put him down there with Jeddah. For those of you who don't know Nurgle's backstory, he wanted to save his... Okay. There's a whole fucking bunch of convoluted bullshit with Nurgle. Basically, the entire reason he wanted to open the Dragon's Gate was to get his wife over the gate, but in order to open the gate, he needed so much quintessence that he just got too much magical power and went mad, could no longer remember why he wanted to open the Dragon's Gate, and just remembered that he wanted to open the gate no matter what. So now he's kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, his intentions were good, but Eilb has a very strong mythos with dark magic, and that too much of it makes most people not named Nime go mad, like Canis' brothers or Nurgle himself. So he just delved too much into power he was never meant to hold. And now he's evil. Wonderful. Ellawood is much like Hector, in that we don't exactly know how good of a dad he is. We know he's a good dad, but we don't necessarily see him parent. Granted, he is still alive. He does take the cake of the only Fire Emblem Lord Father to not die. He is going strong, so good on you, Ellawood. I just realized I forgot to put Geralt on this list, and I intended to. I'll find him later. So, Ellawood, we don't quite know enough to say if he's the best or the greatest, but I think it's safe to say he's definitely above average. Canis, buddy. Okay, now Canis probably deserves a little worse than C tier, but let me explain here. Canis' son is obviously Hugh, and Canis dies in the blizzard with Canis Fridge before Hugh can really remember him that much. It's stated that he lets his mother perform hexes on Hugh to figure out his aptitude for dark magic, but we're never stated what those hexes are. It's not like Tharja's hexes where we see the ones she uses on her daughter are bad. Hex just means to cast a spell on someone. And when Nino's like, yo, what the fuck, that's bad, Canis immediately is like, yeah, you're right, that is bad. So, I don't think it's safe to say Canis is an outright terrible father, but there's definitely some skepticism there. Definitely a little bit that can't make me put him on the upper end. Hawkeye, though. Hawkeye is good. He is the daughter to the lovely Agreen, Or Igrin, or how the fuck people pronounce things. I don't know. Every way I pronounce things is wrong, so hopefully I don't get Hawkeye incorrect. Anyways, Hawkeye is just a good dad. In his support with Louise, I think it is. She's just like, Hawkeye's like, I must go throw away my life. I must be the guardian. And Louise is just like, dude, you have a daughter. Don't throw your life away. And he's like, okay, fine. He does love his daughter, and he wants to be there for her. And I believe in the semi-final chapter, when you go to that village that has that weird, like, Sophia apparition thingy-mabobber in it, if you go there with Hawkeye, like, he's just like, tell everyone, tell her Green, I'll be back soon, everything's gonna be fine. So he does have her in his heart. While I'm talking about Hawkeye and special visiting things, in the desert chapter you recruit him in the South Village, Fa is there, and she's talking about, the desert treasure that's in all the GBA desert maps. But if you go there with Hawkeye, she just, like, pokes fun at his very quiet, solemn mannerisms of speech. Like, she says a bunch of Fa things, he's like, oh, is that so? Says more Fa things, oh, is that so? And Fa's like, Hawkeye, you say nothing but, oh, is that so? Oh, is that... Sorry. A cute little scene of Hawkeye. Showing a bit more than just big axe smash. Anyways, non sequitur aside, Hawkeye is good people. Garcia. This is a good axe dad. Garcia's entire story is about how much of a father and how much his child and country mean to him. He quit his job that genuinely gave him true happiness, being a warrior for the kingdom, to be there for his son when he needed him. It's a very sweet scene. His supports with Ross are very good. He is a very, very good axe dad with a fucking awesome beard. Some more I have to look at it. Though Bartray is the first one to come to mind when good axe dad shows up, Garcia is another solid contender. The Game Boy Advance games had some solid axe dads, but I love Garcia to pieces. Nasir is such a good dad that he ended up being a super secret double agent to an entire military just to protect her, which is pretty fucking cool. I don't see your dad pulling double espionage. So, Nasir, high tier. High tier dad. Not really much else to say about him. He's just good. Fucking does cool shit to protect his daughter. And grandson? Daughter. What the fuck is Ina's baby? Shit, I don't remember that at all. I believe they're born by the time Radiant Dawn happens. Well, anyways, that's something the comments section will gladly fill me in on. Grail, another solid axe dad. He's probably the most famous Lord Father, mainly because he's the only one that really gets any screen time. And, like, he's good. Loves his children. Killing his wife is probably a low bar, but it wasn't his fault. The one thing, actually nothing. I can't think of anything really wrong with Grail. Make sure Ike is trained and knowledgeable about the world. Make sure Mist is protected. He's a good axe dad. We just gotta ignore the whole giving his daughter a Satan pendant. But understandable given the context of Tellius. Braum! Everyone thinks of Nephany as the cutie farmer, but I think of Braum. Look at that guy. He's beautiful. He fought war for his kids like Hicks, but unlike Hicks, he has supports which help go into how much he truly loves his kids. His supports with Boyd are very good at that. He's a simple farmer man. He just wants to farm and to protect his kids. He has a big family, a loving family. They all love Braum. I love Braum. Alright. Shiraham I put here because I just wanted an excuse to talk about Shiraham. Because his dilemma, actually, he's my favorite Camus in the series. Period. Basically, he realized the Benyon Senate was corrupt as shit and said to himself, I'm getting the fuck out of here while I can, and goes up to Dayan, which as we know, Dayan's like, if you're strong, you can succeed. But when he gets there, he sees the horrid racist treatment towards the Laguz and the fucking terrible sentiment everyone has, And now he's forced with a choice. Be an outcast with nowhere to belong, or just shut up, teach his daughter the racist ways of Dayan, and at least give her a home. So caught between that rock and hard place, Shiraham ultimately decided he would instill the institutionalized racism into Jill and accept the consequences when they come to him. Fantastic character. Whether or not he's a good dad for doing that, that is purely up to interpretation. Whether or not he should have said fuck this and kept trying to find somewhere to live, or had just said, or he was correct to give her a home somewhere, that's up to the player's interpretation. I think Shiraham's a fantastic character. As a dad, I think he did what he had to do. I think his hand was forced, so that's why I'm putting him. Crom. Now I'm thinking to myself, oh, all the scenes with Lucina. That's not his daughter. His daughter's the baby all the way back at the castle at the start of the time skip. Like, which is really weird about awakening fathers and mothers to me. Like, none of them are parents. This random adult person that comes into their lives isn't their kid. Ugh. But Crom is stated to love his baby Lucina back home. He does care about her, so, and plus, look, it's Crom. He's a good guy. He's a good father. Just, that's not his daughter, the Lucina that you're thinking of. Hey ho there, Satan man. Fucking look at Valadar for 2 seconds and tell me what kind of person he is. Yeah, he's an evil Satan Lord father. So, I don't know. It's Valadar. What do you need me to say about him? Like, ugh. Gilbert. Now, a lot of you will be thinking that Gilbert is bottom tier. I don't think so. Because before the whole Fucky Wucky massacre happened, it was stated he was a good dad. Like, Annette and his daughter loved him. And he left due to his crippling survivor's guilt and psychological problems that honestly would all have been solved if Gilbert just went to a therapist. But, you know, medieval setting, we can't really have therapy. This is why Persona 5 The Royal added a therapist to its game. Because a lot of JRPGs need therapists in them. Anyways. And also to note, if Annette can be like, Dad, just stop, he will. Gilbert will go home, and it's stated that his family wants him back and loves him again, and it's a happy family again. So, I'm actually going to put him in C, because it doesn't feel right to put him on the same level of Diane, Dice, and these fuckers. I do not think Gilbert is as bad as people make him out to be. Now, obviously, this list is not every father to have ever fathered in Fire Emblem. Like, there's all the dead Lord Fathers I could have done other than Quan and Sigurd, like Fado, Marthdad, Rudolph. Like, this isn't everyone. I just kind of wanted a circle of all the fathers. Like, some from every game and every generation. However, I did promise myself I was going to find Geralt and talk about him before we go. That's an A-tier dad if I ever saw one. He lasted a lot longer than I thought he was. Like, before he was talking about the secret book that he wanted to show you, and he'll show you afterwards, I thought he was actually going to make it. But then he threw up, like, 17 different death flags the month before he died. Like, they had me going. They had me fooled for a while. But Geralt is kind of starting to rise as to, like, the same level of popularity as Grail, because they are very similar. Mercenary fathers that love their son, have an interesting backstory, and die after enough time has passed that the player can relate to them. So, Geralt, and I think he deserves it. Like, of all the NPCs in Three Houses, I think Geralt's one of, if not the best, and I'm glad he's starting to get a lot of, like, love in the fandom for it. But there's not much to say about Geralt. His final words actually got me a tear up a bit. Like, to put it this way, Byleth had their emotions removed, and the first time they were able to properly show them was for Geralt, which I think really, really shows how much of a good father and a good person he was to them. So I think it's safe to put him there. Now, again, this isn't every dad ever. Feel free in the comments to say about a dad I didn't cover, like, say, Rodrigue. Yeah. That was the only father I could think of. Rodrigue. He's the only father that's not on this list. And you could talk about the Fates fathers. Like, I just don't think it's fair to put them on the same fucking level as these fathers, because it's not the same. Like, Arthur was stated to visit Percy a lot. So I think of all the baby dimension fathers, Arthur should be, like, top of the crown. But it's just weird, timey-wimey fuck shit. So let me know what you think. And if you are someone's son or daughter or other, let them know that they matter to you. And if your father happens to be a piece of shit that was either abusive or never in his life, fuck him. He doesn't deserve it. And if you are someone watching this with a child of your own, happy Father's Day to you. Do a good job. No pressure. You're only deciding that child's entire future. Goodbye.